Hello students, in our previous video, we have learnt about the physical properties of acids and bases. We also learnt about indicators that are used to identify whether a particular substance is an acid or a base. We also learnt about different types of indicators. In our today's video, let us learn about the chemical properties of acids and bases. But before that, let us first understand what chemical properties are and why is it important to study them. A chemical property of a substance is a property that becomes evident during or after a chemical reaction. That is an equality that can be established only by changing a substance's chemical identity. It's important to know the chemical properties of a substance because this information can be used to ascertain the identity of an unknown substance, classify the identified substance, purify the substance, separate it from other substances, predict its behavior, explore its uses. To identify a chemical property of a substance, we look for a chemical change that is brought about by chemical reactions of that substance with various reagents. So let us get down to study various chemical reactions of acids and bases to understand their chemical properties. First, let's explore how acids and bases react with metals. For this, let's perform an experiment. Our aim to see the reaction of acids with metals. We require some materials like test tube, delivery tube, glass trough, candle, soap water, dilute hydrochloric acid, and some zinc granules. Now, we set the test tube in a stand and fix the delivery tube as shown on the screen. Now, we take about 10 ml of dilute hydrochloric acid in the test tube and add a few zinc granules to it. We observe the formation of gas bubbles on the surface of zinc granules. Now, we pass the gas being evolved through the delivery tube into soap water. What do we observe? Yes, you are right. Gas-filled bubbles get formed in the soap solution and rise into the air. Now, let's write the equation of the reaction happening during our experiment. Here, metal displaces the hydrogen atoms from the acid in the form of hydrogen gas and forms a compound zinc chloride, which is a salt. Let us verify this evolved gas by bringing a burning candle near the gas-filled bubbles. We observe that the gas present in a soap bubble burns with a pop sound. Students, we already know that only hydrogen gas burns with a pop sound. So, the evolved gas is hydrogen gas. Now, let's repeat the above experiment with acids like sulfuric acid and nitric acid. We observe that here also hydrogen gas gets produced. From the above experiments, we can conclude that when acid reacts with metal, respective salts of metals are formed and hydrogen gas is evolved. Students, can you tell which kind of bond is formed here? Yes, you are right. Here forms the ionic bond. That is, the bond formed between ions. For example, in the reaction of zinc metal with hydrochloric acid, H+, Cl- and Zn2+ ions are formed. Have you noticed the type of chemical reaction happening here? Yes, it is a displacement reaction. Here, the metal atoms displace the hydrogen atoms from the acid. Accordingly, hydrogen gas and salt of corresponding metal forms. Here, in this experiment, the salt of zinc, that is zinc sulfate, and hydrogen gas is formed. Thus, the reaction of metal with an acid can be summarized as acid plus metal gives salt plus hydrogen gas. Now, let's try a similar experiment using base instead of an acid. Students, keep in mind that most metals do not react with bases, but some amphoteric metals like zinc and aluminium react with base to form salts and hydrogen gas. Students, do you remember what amphoteric metals are? Yes, the metals which can react both with acids and bases. Now, let us do an experiment to carry out chemical reaction of sodium hydroxide, which is base, with zinc. Our aim is to see the reaction of sodium hydroxide with zinc metal. We require some materials like a test tube, delivery tube, glass trough, candle, soap water, dilute sodium hydroxide, and some zinc granules. Now, let us set the test tube in the stand and fix the delivery tube as shown on the screen. Now, let's take about 2 ml of dilute sodium hydroxide in a test tube and add few zinc granules to it. Now, let's warm the content. We observe the formation of gas bubbles on the surface of zinc granules. Now, we pass the gas being evolved through the delivery tube into soap water. As a result, gas-filled bubbles get formed in the soap solution and rise into the air. Just like experiment with acids, we bring a burning candle near the gas-filled bubbles. What do we observe? Yes, the observations are the same as that of acids. That is, the gas present in a soap bubble burns with a pop sound. Students, we already know that only hydrogen gas burns with a pop sound. So, the evolved gas is hydrogen gas. Now, let's write the chemical equation of this experiment. Sodium hydroxide plus zinc gives sodium zincate plus hydrogen gas. Students, here it is also clear from the equation that hydrogen gas is produced in the reaction of metals with base. However, as already pointed out, such reactions are not possible with all metals. Thus, we summarize that the reaction of metal with base as base plus metal gives salt plus hydrogen gas. So students, in this video, we have learnt that acid and base when react with metal form salt and hydrogen gas. We also learned that the kind of reaction is displacement reaction, which involves ion formation. In next video, we will see some more chemical properties of acid and base, that is, their reaction with metal carbonates and metal hydrogen carbonates.